Okay, so let's take a closer look at one of the features of the spinal cord, and those features are the meninges. And the meninges are composed of three layers, as indicated here: the dura mater, we'll talk about that, the arachnoid mater, and the pia mater. Here we see the spinous process, just to orient you. So this is the posterior projection of the spinal cord. This side where the vertebral body is the anterior projection. And last time we looked at a little more detail for a spinal cord slice, but now we want to pull a bit away from that. And here is just and orient you to it. And this white, thicker layer, that's the dura mater, the outer part of it. Just internal to that, just deep to it, is the arachnoid layer. And then right next to the spinal cord slice itself is the pia mater. So the dura mater right here, outside the dura mater is the epidural space, and this is where epidural injections are giving, right? So out in this fat in the epidural space, outside the dura is going to be where injections go. You can see this spidery-like appearance inside the arachnoid mater. In here, this blue space, this is where cerebrospinal fluid bathes the spinal cord. So there is not really any subdural space in the spinal cord, but subarachnoid space is where the cerebrospinal fluid will flow. Then the pia mater is actually adheres to the surface of the spinal cord, and you cannot see it with the naked eye. You have to visualize it under a microscope in order to see the pia mater. So the dura mater is named because it actually means tough mother, dura mater, right? And so the dura mater is very tough. It's there for major league protection of the spinal cord. It does project onward in through the foramen magnum, into the cranium, and will eventually fuse with the periosteum of the bone. But we're talking only about the spinal cord right now. It eventually tapers into just collagen fibers as we get towards the cauda equina. Then there's the epidural space that is outside the dura mater, between the walls of the dura mater and the vertebral canal, where anesthesia is given, especially during childbirth, right, and labor. The arachnoid mater, arachnoid spidery, is the middle layer, and this is made up of the arachnoid membrane plus some simple squamous epithelia. Ooh, can't forget that stuff, right? So in the subarachnoid space and the subdural spaces, this is the space in between the arachnoid mater and dura mater. It's very, very small, though, if non-existent, in the spinal cord. The subarachnoid space, though, is much more profound, and where we find, again, cerebrospinal fluid. Okay. So when you have to do a spinal tap, that's the space you have to invade to do that spinal tap, which fortunately I've never had to have one, but if you have, I really feel bad because I know they're extremely painful. The pia mater, again, adheres actually to the outside surface of the spinal cord, and you cannot visualize it with the naked eye. So here are the various structures. We can see here that the pia mater is highlighted, that we can see it. I suspect this may be pia mater. Maybe there's been a treatment done to it to make it more visual at this stage. And then you see the dura and the arachnoid mater in this particular visual. One condition associated that's very profound and affects many people is spina bifida. This is where you fail to form a complete arch or enclose the spinal cord properly. Fortunately, it's pretty rare, pretty uncommon. It's due to a lack or deficiency in folic acid. And it generally is very early on, so a female needs to be in pretty good health